Hey everyone, thanks for being here. I have just one question for you. Who here likes to see people on stage doing live demos that could go very wrong? Right, of course. Everyone does. It's exciting, right? Well, I have good news for you because I have spent the last month preparing this laptop with a bunch of live demos that you are going to love. So why don't we just jump right in? Oh, oops. Can I start over? No? This is live? Okay. Okay. Okay, well, we can just edit this right out of the recording. Nothing to see here. Let's jump right in. Shoot, this thing won't turn on now. Okay, you know what I always say? Live demos, way overrated.
Don't worry about it. We can use my Windows 365 Lync.
Oh, let me get this straight. Are you suggesting that we do this whole session from your Lync device connected to cloud PCs and put all of our faith and eggs in the basket of whoever is running the network in this facility?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds exciting. Let's do it.
All right, here you go. Here, I'll take that.
Thank you. Okay. So right now we're looking at the sign-in screen of David's Lync device. I'm going to first sign in with my security key, Tristan's security key here. So what I do is I put in my PIN, I press enter, and then I touch the key to show that I'm physically present. And now I've authenticated, and now it's automatically logging into my personal cloud PC that I can access from anywhere on any device, including this Lync device. So here's my Ignite presentation, which I will open up. Put in presentation mode, and we are ready to go. Okay, so let's make sure everyone is in the right place. That was David, I am Tristan, and we are talking about Windows 365 Frontline and Cloud PC devices. We're going to show you a bunch of new features, as well as some that we're just announcing yesterday, and we're going to give you a bunch of demos throughout to show you how they all work together. Just in case you're here for the first time and you've never heard of Windows 365 before, this is Microsoft's Cloud PC offering. You're familiar with a physical PC that sits on the desktop. This is a PC in the cloud, which is great because now you can get your Windows experience wherever you are and from any device. It's great from a security and manageability perspective because it's all centrally hosted. And because it's in the cloud, now you have access to unlimited compute, and you're able to deploy cloud PCs anywhere across the globe within minutes. Okay, so we launched Windows 365 a little over 4 years ago. And when we first came to market, we had a product called Windows 365 Enterprise. This is for people like you and me, where I need a full-time cloud PC. I need something that I can access from 9 to 5, sometimes at night, sometimes on the weekends. I can customize it however I need, install any apps that I need. It is for me. Then we launched a product called Windows 365 Frontline. And this is optimized for part-time work use cases. So picture the call center you need to staff 24/7. With one Frontline license, you can provision 3 cloud PCs, with the only constraint being you can only have one user logged in at a time for each license you've provisioned. So this works great in examples like what you see on the slide here, where it's a shift worker scenario and you have 3 different users logging in at different times throughout the day. Okay, so then what we announced at Ignite last year is that you can deploy Frontline in 2 different ways. The first thing is what we call Frontline in dedicated mode, and that's the example I just gave you. Because remember, in this case, there's 3 users that get 3 dedicated cloud PCs. The other mode is what you see on the bottom of the screen. This is called Frontline in shared mode. In this case, you have one cloud PC that can be shared by any number of users. So in this case, this is kind of more optimized for the occasional access use case. So think of the medical assistant that's going in and out of different rooms throughout the day. They're logging into some machines for 30 minutes, other machines for 30 seconds. It doesn't really matter. The point is that it's an intermittent usage pattern. And in this case, you can see the visual example on the slide. It's able to accommodate 7 users with one license because they're each logging in at different times throughout the day. Now, if you're thinking, Tristan, that's very convenient. What are the odds that my 7 users don't log in at the exact same time throughout the day? This is just kind of an example, and in the real world, what we're talking about is not just deploying one Frontline shared cloud PC. There's going to be a pool of shared cloud PCs that are deployed to a much larger group of users. And so in this case, the only thing you're really managing is making sure that you have enough cloud PCs in that pool to accommodate the moment when you have the most concurrent connections from that big group of users. Does that make sense? Great, thank you. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Frontline Shared in the next slide, but first I just want to help you kind of think about the economics of these 3 different solutions. So the first one's really easy to understand. This is, enterprise is a 1 user for 1 license model. So if we just take an example of the US list price of a 4-core 16 gig machine, that's $66 per license, and it's also $66 per user, pretty easy. If you look at Windows 365 Frontline in dedicated mode, the license for the same size cloud PC is 50% more at $99, but the per user cost is 50% less at $33. Because remember, now you have 3 users that are able to share that license. And then if we go down to Frontline in shared mode, the license is the same. It's the same Frontline license, so it's still $99 for the license. But the per user price, if you just look at this example on the slide where it's showing 7 users sharing a license, now the price per user goes down closer to $14 per user per month. And I'll tell you, it's not uncommon for our customers to have 10, 15, or more users per license. So as many users as you can map to your pool of cloud PCs, the lower the per user price goes. Okay, so let's talk more about the life cycle of a shared cloud PC. In this case, I've taken 9 Frontline licenses, and I've deployed them in shared mode, so you see that pool of 9 shared cloud PCs. Each of those cloud PCs are identical. They have the same apps and settings on them. It's a common pool of shared cloud PCs. Now, any user that you've assigned to that pool can walk up to any machine. They can authenticate. When they connect, we will log them into any of those shared cloud PCs that are not currently in use. They can do their work. They will sign out. We will then reset the cloud PC and return it back to that pool of shared cloud PCs. That reset step is really important because that reset step ensures uniformity of the pool. And this is really valuable from a supportability perspective because now you can rest assured that every user gets the exact same experience every time they log into their cloud PCs. This is really common with task-based work scenarios where you want to ensure the users get the exact same experience. That said, since we launched Frontline in shared mode a year ago, we've gotten feedback that some customers have some apps that have a first run experience, or they have some user-specific settings like an accessibility preference. And it's kind of annoying when the user has to go reconfigure that each time they log into the shared cloud PC pool. So we are addressing that exact issue with what we are announcing this week as called User Experience Sync. User Experience Sync allows your per user data and settings to persist across logons across your shared cloud PC pool. It is included with the price of your Frontline license, so no additional charge. And it is so easy to deploy that instead of trying to explain it, I'm going to show you right now with our first demo. Okay, so I'm going to hit Windows L to go back to the Lync sign-in screen. I'm unplugging my Tristan security token, and I'm plugging in my admin security key. Okay, I'm going to put in the admin's PIN. I will touch the key. And same thing, now I've authenticated as the admin. And keep in mind, with Windows 365, all administration is done in the Intune portal. And so from the persona I'm logging in with here is effectively an endpoint admin that's doing all of their Windows 365 management across Intune here. Okay, so here we are in the Intune console. And I'm going to play the role of someone that's an admin that's been asked to provision shared cloud PCs for 30 factory floor workers in the US on the West Coast. And so this all starts with a provisioning policy. So I'm going to create a provisioning policy. We will give it a name. I'm going to ask you to put a pin in this experience option. We're going to give the factory floor workers the factory floor supervisors a full desktop experience, and I'm going to talk about the app-only experience later. As we just learned, we're going to use the Frontline license in shared mode. You have choices where you can hybrid join your cloud PCs. You can give them access to your corporate network, but I'm going to do the easy option, which is just keep them cloud native. We can pick where we want to deploy them. We'll do it in US West, close to where the factory floor supervisors are. We will turn on single sign-on. Okay, the next choice you have is you can optionally, if you want, upload a custom image if you do gold image management, or what we would recommend is using one of our gallery images. So we curate this list of gallery images that we apply the latest patches to every single month. So in this case, let's say I want to use the latest 25H2 image. Okay, you can also customize the language and the name of the cloud PCs, but let's stop right here for a sec on Windows Autopilot preparation policies. Now, remember, you want all the machines in your shared cloud PC pool to have the exact same apps and settings. And so there's really two different ways you can do this. You can do that previous step, and you can upload a custom image that has your apps pre-installed that you want to have kind of copied across the pool. Or what we'd recommend is you use one of our gallery images and then layer on the apps you need via Intune. And what device preparation policies do is they make sure that those Intune apps are pre-installed on every shared cloud PC before a user is allowed to connect to it. So in this case, I have pre-created a device preparation policy for the floor supervisors, and there's two specific apps that are going to get pre-installed from Intune onto these shared cloud PCs. And later, David is going to show you the end user experience where he can see these two factory floor supervisor apps. Okay, the other thing I showed you in the last slide was the announcement of user experience sync. Remember, this gives you your per user settings and data can roam across logins. And I said it was easy to set up. And so this is how easy it is. It is a checkbox. There is no setting up storage infra, networking infra. If you've done this before, it can be pretty complicated. This is software as a service at its finest. It is just a checkbox. You can opt in or out of this if you need it. It is there. You have some choice around how much per user storage to use for each user if you want, but I'll just leave the default. Okay, I'll leave default scope tags, and then the final step of provisioning these shared cloud PCs is the assignments. So remember I said there was 30 factory floor supervisors that need access to these shared cloud PCs. In this case, I've pre-created an Entra group that has all 30 of those factory floor supervisors here. So I'll select that. And then I need to pick the cloud PC size. So in this case, in my demo tenant, I have 3 SKUs of Frontline available. So I will pick the middle 8-core option here. The assignment name is just kind of a friendly name that the factory floor supervisors will see in the Windows app. And then the final thing to pick is how many shared cloud PCs do I need in my pool? You can see I have 7 licenses available, so I could provision 7 shared cloud PCs. But I know in this case on the factory floor, there's only 3 physical endpoints for the factory floor supervisors to connect from. Therefore, I know there's never going to be more than 3 concurrent connections to this pool of cloud PCs, so I can just pick 3 shared cloud PCs. I select Next, I select Create, and if you've never done Windows 365 before, now in less than an hour, my shared cloud PCs will be deployed. So I will just, before I end the admin demo, I want to show you a little bit about this policy we created, because I can go click into it while it's provisioning. And if you have used Windows 365 before, you'll notice this is a more modern provisioning policy management experience. You get a nice overview screen. You can see the properties of all the things we just configured and go edit them at any time. You can see all of the cloud PCs that are associated with the provisioning policy. So here's those 3 that I just set up to start provisioning. And because I turned on user experience sync, I can see the user storage. So in this case, you can see for this provisioning policy, about 1,500 gigs of storage has been allocated to this provisioning policy. That's calculated by multiplying the amount of OS disk storage on the SKU that I selected by the number of cloud PCs that I provisioned. And to be clear, this is not taking any of your OS disk storage. This is just extra storage that we're giving you for free to use with this user experience sync feature. And then after users start connecting, you'll be able to see those users show up here so you can see their storage. You can reset their storage, things like this. Okay, so now we're ready for, later David will show you the end user experience for the factory floor supervisors. So let me now do Windows L again. We're back on the Lync sign-in screen, and I'm going to plug in the Tristan security key again, put in my PIN, press enter, touch the key to show that I'm physically present, and now we're logging back into my Tristan Cloud PC where we have our PowerPoint presentation because David is going to give you an update on Cloud PC devices. Here you go.
Thanks, Tristan. All right, I'm David. I'm excited to be here to talk to you about Windows 365 Lync. So, Tristan just showed how amazingly easy it was to set up and deploy a set of Frontline shared PCs. To complement this, imagine a device that has security enabled by default, a snap to set up, but you get the full Windows experience from the cloud. That's Windows 365 Lync. So last year at Ignite, we announced Windows 365 Lync, the first cloud PC device purposely built to connect you directly to Windows 365. In April of this year, we went generally available, and we are now offered in 13 countries, with 7 more coming early next year. The device is small and compact. It's about 4.5 inches square, or 120 millimeters, and fanless, so you can put it pretty much anywhere. It has all of the ports that you need, USB-A, USB-C, an audio jack, Ethernet, as well as Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3. It also supports dual 4K monitors, giving you that screen real estate that you're really looking for. Now, Lync is ideal for like shared space scenarios, for cloud or desk-based or frontline workers. So it's definitely great for like hot desking or call centers. Now, in a moment, I'm going to walk through a demo. But first, I'm going to kind of walk through some of the benefits that the device provides, as well as try to answer some of the questions we get from customers so far. But before we dive a little deep, I want to set some context to help understand how Lync is able to have such a strong security posture but simplified management without impacting usability. And really, it comes from the Windows 365 service, as Tristan explained from the beginning. When you detach the desktop from the device and move it to the cloud, you can fundamentally change the strategy for how you secure and manage the device. First, data, identity, experiences are not bound to the device, so you can really lock it down without impacting usability. Second, since the device has a minimal role to play, there's far few decision points and configuration needed, so it really lessens the effort from an IT admin perspective. So let's dive in real quick to see how those benefits come to life. Security. All right, this just is a space that we get the most question about. How is this device secured? Well, from a security perspective, we're really just taking advantage of that separation of the desktop from the device to provide a truly locked-down device. From the beginning, it has TPM 2.0 and Secure Boot enabled by default, providing that strong root of trust. So, advanced security features like virtualization-based security or hypervisor protected code integrity are also enabled by default, further safeguarding the OS. BitLocker encryption is enabled and turned on automatically during the out-of-box experience, providing further defense in depth. It also has a very strict application control policy, so ensuring that only the software required for the solution can execute on the device, and nothing more. It's Entra-joined only, and end users don't even have a means to create and use local accounts. Matter of fact, end users don't even have means to access the local storage, so there's no way for corporate data to be copied down and stored on the device. Which these last 3 things really add up to, there's nothing on the device. Your experiences, your identity, your data stay in the cloud where you want them, which customers really love this. As I mentioned, it's Entra-joined. It's also Intune enrolled. So that means it's fully cloud managed. With that, you can take advantage of things like compliance policies and conditional access to ensure that only compliant cloud PC devices are able to connect to Windows 365. Lync combines a hardware-based security features, OS-level protections, and full cloud management to give you that secure by design device. Now, from a management perspective, things are simple because the device is limited in what it needs to do. So minimal configuration is needed. That simplicity shows up right from device setup. It's just 3 steps. Connect to a network, accept the license agreement, and sign in. At that point, the device will automatically join your intra-tenant and enroll in Intune. Now, this is also a place we do get questions from customers, specifically around device setup. Does it support autopilot? Not today, but when I dig a little deeper with customers in this space, for a device like this, what they're really looking for from autopilot is that pre-registration functionality. The good news is Lync does support Intune's corporate identifiers feature, so that you can still have that automatic enrollment feature or a process, even if you do have device enrollment restrictions in place. The operating system is small, purpose-built. It is Windows-based. So configuration via policy in Intune works just the same as it would for other Windows endpoints in your environment. There's just far fewer applicable policies, so there's less to have to think about. The device will automatically update. Now, of course, this leads to the next question we get a lot from customers. How? Well, it's leveraging the Windows Update service. It has pre-configured a set of Windows Update for Business configuration policies that have it regularly check for and download and apply updates, and then reboot the device when it's not in use. Now, this is also a place that we did listen to customers who said they need more control. So those policies you can update via Intune as you need for compliance and predictability within your environment. So really here, Lync is combining simplicity with familiarity to give you that simplified management, but also a level of flexibility where needed. Now, we're just talking about security and management, which are key concerns, but so is performance and usability. In a moment, we'll do a quick demo showing Lync. I mean, we kind of are right now, but we'll show it actually connecting to a Frontline shared PC that Tristan just set up. But I wanted to set the stage a little bit first. So right from Lync's sign-in experience, which you'll see is unique, visually striking, and fast, which reflects its cloud-native design. But at that point, once a user connects to their cloud PC, the device kind of fades away so that your focus is on your cloud PC desktop and the Windows experience that you know and love. That does lead to another question we do get asked. What peripherals can actually work with Lync? Well, most standard devices like keyboard, mice, webcams will work. Essentially anything covered by a Windows class driver. But this is a place where security does trump usability. If you have some sort of specialized peripheral that requires a third-party driver, that is not supported at this time. But the device does support multimedia redirection, as well as is optimized for Microsoft Teams via the Teams VDI plugin. Because highly performant and crisp Teams meetings are critical for productivity. Which then leads, I will say, to the next question we do get. What about VDI plugins for other communication apps? This is something we are working on, and I'll talk a little bit about it later. And so as I mentioned, the device, users aren't bound to the device, which was what makes it great for shared space scenarios. But it also works great for dedicated scenarios. Matter of fact, I use one of these at my desk every day as my daily driver. So it doesn't matter if you're connecting to Windows 365 Enterprise, like we're doing right now for this slide presentation, or Frontline in dedicated mode, or Frontline in shared mode, which we're about to see. A user just signs in and lands on the cloud PC they're assigned. No need to change anything. So at the end of the day, Lync is combining a secure by design architecture with simplified management to give IT admins the confidence, but still providing a very performant and intuitive experience to the end user. So at that point, we can go through a quick demo. I'm going to play the role of Riley, a factory floor supervisor, connecting to one of the shared cloud PCs. So the first thing, I'm going to go ahead and get back to the sign-in screen. I'm going to put in my FIDO2 security key to give you the full detail there, Tristan. And go ahead and enter my PIN. But before I do that, actually, I wanted to show you a couple things on the sign-in screen. So we are going to sign back out in a second so I can do that. So I forgot to mention, you see that there's two different options for signing in, FIDO2 security key or web sign-in. Now, if your environment, you aren't configured to use FIDO2 security keys in your environment, you won't see the option. It'll just default to web sign-in. Down here, we have a quick settings menu. This is where you can do things like change the Wi-Fi network you're connected to, or turn on accessibility features. Like we can turn on contrast themes. We recently released voice access, rounding out the full suite of accessibility features. I can also change the language. So imagine I spoke German. When I do that, you'll see that the strings automatically update. Now I lied because I don't speak German, so I'm going to go back to English. You can also change the keyboard layout to match the region or your preference. And the last thing I just want to show on the sign-in screen is there is an About device. Here you'll see things like device name, the OS build that you're on, as well as the serial number. This information may be helpful if you need to contact an IT admin for support. And then, although we say the device is continually kept up to date, you still do have the ability to kind of check for updates if you want. All right, so now I'll go back and sign in. Now, I'll be honest, that sign-in seems very quickly. I want to give a little context there. Since I never actually signed out of the device as Riley, I essentially locked it. That's why I'm able to just sign back in and get right back to Riley's desktop. When you switch users is when you see that reconnection. So again, I'm Riley. I'm a factory floor supervisor. So I'm going to go down to one of the 3 workstations on the factory floor to kind of carry out my duties of checking things out. The first thing you'll notice is there's 2 applications on the desktop. These are the 2 applications that were installed by the device preparation policy that Kristen applied to the provisioning policy. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up to do my production line monitoring. Now you'll see real quick that it's showing up in light mode. Riley doesn't like light mode. Riley likes dark mode. So by changing that setting there, from this point forward, no matter if I access from a different type of device or land on a different shared PC from the pool, that app setting will persist for me via the user experience sync that Tristan mentioned. So imagine I see, oh my word, there's a couple of issues. I'm just going to go ahead and stop all, work with the factory floor personnel to resolve the issue, and then we can restart the lines and continue on. So at this point, maybe I'm done at this workstation as Riley, so I can close the app and I can move on. But before Riley signs out, I wanted to show a few more experiences of Lync when you're actually signed into your Cloud PC. And really those differences are on the Control-Alt-Delete menu. You'll see we have the same quick settings that we had on sign-in. And this will look familiar to a standard Windows 11 Control-Alt-Delete screen. Task Manager will take you to the Task Manager of the Cloud PC. And then you'll see connection details, but this is something we recently released called Connection Center. When you click that, there we go, you will see details about the Cloud PC you're connected to. And if I have, depending on permissions for actions I can take them, such as reset or reboot the device, or the Cloud PC. If I had multiple Cloud PCs assigned to me, I would see them here, and I could immediately connect to them from here. So we'll return back to the desktop. The one last thing I want to talk about is device settings. So you saw the quick settings menu. That's where you can change various device settings, such as adding a Bluetooth device or display. But we're continually working to remove the seams between client and cloud. And we want to get people to get access to settings in the way that they're familiar in Windows, which is the Settings app. So if I go into Settings, let's say I wanted to add a Bluetooth device. I can go to the Settings app of the Cloud PC. And if I go to Bluetooth, you'll see this additional settings available. When I click that, it brings up Lync's Bluetooth pairing experience, where I can then just pair a Bluetooth device. But we're continually trying to push forward and not have to have you leave the Settings app. So an example of that is actually Display. So if I go to System, Display, right from here in the Settings app of the Cloud PC, I can see that I have multiple devices or monitors attached. I can identify. I can change them from duplicate to extend. I can change resolution, whatever. all within the settings app of the Cloud PC, which is then changing settings on the device. All right, at that point, Riley is now done for the day. I think we're going to let Tristan, you come back up and sign back in, because of course I do not know your PIN. So I'm going to go back to the sign-in screen.
Awesome.
And we'll go from there.
Thank you. Okay. So we're doing one last user switcheroo on the Lync device. So I'm plugging back in the Tristan security key, put in my PIN, press enter, touch the key. And while David was all fancy talking about the 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗏 key, he totally stole my favorite part of the demo. I was about to show you guys, and I might even show you one more time. When we're switching users here, you notice it takes about 10 seconds or less to switch users. And remember what he just showed you? I'm going to show you one more time, because I think this is pretty cool. The more realistic thing throughout the day is, in the morning you might be stepping up to a new shared Lync device, but every time you get up to get a cup of coffee or go to the bathroom, you're just going to lock your machine. I'm going to put in my PIN, press enter, and watch this. When I press the security key, this is when I'm done authenticating. It is instantly back in. I think that is just amazing. Yes, thank you. Okay. So David showed you the production line app as part of the factory floor supervisor demo. And as you may have figured out, that was not a real app. That was an app that we created for that demo. But the use case was a real use case we have with real customers, with factory floor supervisors. We also have many customers that have totally modernized their call centers by deploying both Frontline in shared mode and Windows 365 Lync devices. And we even have quite a bit of interest in retail. And so one of our customers, they deployed Frontline shared in their store for giving access to employees to their merchandise return system really easy and cost efficiently. So these are just a few examples of Windows 365 Frontline being used for like classic Frontline workers. But here's a key thing I want everyone to take away from this session, is you can use Windows 365 Frontline far beyond Frontline worker use cases. We have many customers using it for their bespoke needs, and you might have use cases for you as well. We have a large university in Japan that has deployed Frontline shared for in-classroom learning for their students. We have many customers interested in contract work, where often all you need to do is provide your vendors with part-time or occasional access to your corporate email or corporate apps, and Windows 365 Frontline is a great solution for this. As you might imagine, seasonal work is really popular as well, because it's so easy to spin up and spin down cloud PCs. So if you think about like tax advisors, they often just need 3 months of access to 1 or maybe 2 apps to do their job. Which that is a great lead into the last thing that I'm announcing this week, Windows 365 Cloud Apps. This is not just another feature, this is a completely new way to experience Windows 365. This is for any user that does not need or want the full Windows experience. They just need access to 1 or 2 apps to do their job. They want to get in and they want to get out. It, of course, because it's part of Windows 365, is also super easy to deploy. So if you remember that IT admin demo I showed you, that first step on the experience, there's that radio button. Instead of selecting full desktop experience, you select the app experience. And then the final thing you need to do is the screenshot you see there. You just select the checkboxes of the apps that are in that pool that you want to publish to the users. It is very, very easy. Again, it is included with your Frontline license. There's no additional charge. You can deploy any number of apps that you have available on your shared cloud PCs. It just works. So I will now show you the final demo of the day. For this one, I'm going to be playing the role of Morgan, the airline mechanic. Morgan travels from airport to airport to inspect and repair airplanes. And she is using her hands most of the day, but she does carry around an iPad in case she needs to take some pictures of some parts. Maybe she'll take some notes, or as I'm going to show you, she needs to order a new part. So I'm going to switch over to our iPad here. And so Morgan, let's say she's out on the tarmac and she's realized she needs to order that new part. She's going to launch the Windows app. Here you can see that she's already signed in and she has access to OneNote and the airline parts ordering system. I'm going to launch that app. This is a Windows app that was written 10 years ago, perfectly integrated with all the back-end systems of the airline. It looks nice, it works great. As you can see here, it has a nice dashboard. You can have a QR scanner that accesses the local camera. You can customize the settings, and with user experience sync, just to David's point, any settings you customize will persist that are saved onto the Cloud PC itself. And let's say in this case, she knows the exact part that she wants. Let's say it is a propeller spinner. She clicks order, she just needs one, place order, she's done. That's it. She's in and out of the app very quickly using a Windows app that's streaming to an iPad. Pretty cool. Okay, so let's go back to our Prezzo where we'll kind of wrap things up. Okay, so I've showed you quite a few things today. I showed you autopilot device preparation policies. Remember, this allows you to have your uniform shared cloud PCs that have all the same apps delivered by Intune, and autopilot device preparation policies make sure that those apps are installed before any user tries to sign into that pool. I showed you user experience sync. This allows those user-specific data and settings to roam across logons to your shared cloud PCs. I showed you our modernized provisioning policy experience, where you can go in and see all of the resources associated with that provisioning policy. And I just showed you Windows 365 Cloud Apps. This is for any user that just needs access to one or two apps. You can have more, but it's usually just a couple. Okay, we are, of course, working on a million things at all times. I picked just a few things I thought would be most interesting to this group. Do you remember in the admin demo when I turned on user experience sync with the checkbox, and then there was a drop-down where I left the default of 16 gigs? That's the amount of storage that gets allocated for each user. So what we're working on is a dynamic option to add to that drop-down, which will make it so that each user's storage allocation grows with how much storage they use, enabling you to make better efficient use of the storage that's allocated to your provisioning policy. Remember that 1,500 gigs that we had to work with. We're also always working to extend Frontline and Frontline Shared, especially to different regions. We're about to roll out Frontline Shared to Switzerland and Germany. Yes, thank you. So we'll keep doing more regions as we go. We're of course also adding support for GPUs for Frontline Shared. So for those apps that need GPUs, we'll have a new SKU and a way to deploy that SKU for Frontline Shared. And then we've also, we launched Frontline Shared about a year ago, or sorry, this is for Frontline Dedicated. Since we launched it, we've got some feedback about the sign-in time and experience, and so we're rolling out a whole bunch of improvements to make that sign-in just that much quicker so the users can get back to a productive state. Okay, and now I will hand over to David to wrap us up.
Sure thing. Thank you. All right. So from a Windows 365 Lync perspective, what's new? I mentioned we're generally available in 13 countries. 6 of those just came in the last couple months. There we go. We support Windows 365 Reserve, the new offering, which is about like if your physical PC dies or has an issue, you can quickly connect to a cloud PC. Windows 365 Lync supports that out of the gate. Voice access support, we showed that via the quick settings menu, again, rounding out the accessibility features of the Windows 365 Lync device. Connection Center, of course, that means to be able to interact and see information about the cloud PC you're connected to and or quickly switching between multiple cloud PCs if you have them assigned to you. One thing we didn't demo is smart card redirection. Now, Windows 365 Lync doesn't support certificate-based authentication as part of its sign-in flow, but we can redirect smart card readers into the cloud PC so that if you have to use certificate-based authentication to authenticate to maybe a legacy app or website, you can do that. And then Wi-Fi portal support at sign-in screen. So I showed that you can change Wi-Fi networks on the sign-in screen, but prior to this, you could not connect to networks that had a captive portal unless you authenticated through to the device. So now this allows you to quickly change them before you even have to sign in. I used this several times at my hotel this morning, which is awesome. Okay, so what's next? More expansion. As I mentioned, there's 7 more countries coming early in the new year. Bluetooth pairing at 𝗬𝗲𝗏. So now you'll be able to pair a keyboard and mouse via Bluetooth at the out-of-box experience instead of having to find a keyboard and mouse to physically connect. Tenant branding. IT admins will be able to set custom wallpapers, names, logos on that sign-in screen to give your employees a unique experience. Bare metal recovery. We'll be providing bare metal recovery images that you can put to USB sticks to provide another way to reset devices outside of Intune. Web Account Manager interactive support. We call this just WAM Interactive. At the end of the day, what this is about is enabling broader conditional access policy setups within your environment. Right now, Lync is very prescriptive on how you should set up your conditional access policies if you use MFA. This helps broaden the scope of what you can do. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, about third-party VDI plugins, WebEx and Zoom are actively working to enable high-fidelity meetings on Cloud PC devices. All right, just wanted to leave you really quick with Microsoft did contract Forrester to do a study on return on investment, which was just recently released. The study interviewed 6 IT decision makers as well as gathered more than 200 responses from surveys and ultimately came to a conclusion that with a composite company looking to replace 300 desktops of knowledge workers and 1,200 frontline shared desktops with Windows 365 Lync and Windows 365 could get a return on investment of up 195%. If you want to read all the awesome details, which I have, and they are awesome, go ahead and check out that AK MS link. All right, we're at the final slides here. Of course, here's all the great links to read all the great information about Windows 365 Frontline, Lync. If you want to purchase either of these, contact your account representatives. And then personal plug for myself, later today at 4 p.m., I'll be doing a deep dive in Windows 365 Lync, more on the management side, at 4 p.m. over in Moscone West. And of course, check out all the other Windows sessions. Now, of course, we'll let it pause here for a good 5 minutes so everyone can take the pictures and give us 5-star ratings for the awesome show we did, especially Tristan's acting.
I mean, I feel like we need to say thank you to whoever is running the network in this building, because we just did the whole demo from your Lync device, one iPad connecting to 4 different cloud PCs, and it all went great. So
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, network gods. Okay.
All right, and we can take some questions on the side if anyone wants to stick around. Thanks.